Coming up on Juice and Java, we have everything you need to know about the Theta Tau incident that has taken over the campus community.
And Gabrielle Caracciolo is live from London to talk about the royal wedding.
And Lilia is also here in studio to pay tribute to former First Lady Barbara Bush.
Plus, this may be morning news, but that doesn't mean we can't try our hand at some late night humor. Watch Rebekah and I write some late night jokes with Josh Feinblatt.
You don't want to miss it, and you don't have to, because Juice and Java starts right now. Good morning, I'm Rebekah Castro.
And I'm Noah Eagle. Thanks for starting your morning with us.
Let's kick things off with the squeeze. Outrage has sparked across campus this week following the discovery of a video showing offensive dialogue between members of the professional engineering fraternity Theta Tau. While CitrusTV will not be airing the video, you can view some of the quotes on your screen right now.
The video was released Wednesday night and contains students making several racist, homophobic, and sexist comments. At one point, the men also made fun of people with disabilities.
Although students were only able to watch the video at the conclusion of Wednesday, campus became aware of its existence Wednesday morning. And taking a look at our timeline, the events began after Chancellor Kent Severud sent out an email to the school community.
In the email, Severud stated that the university found out about the misconduct earlier that day. He went on to state that the university's Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities immediately suspended the fraternity, and the situation is currently under investigation by the Department of Public Safety.
And going back to the timeline, at around 1:30, Dean of Hendricks Chapel, Dr. Brian Conkle, sent out a follow-up email to the campus community. His message encouraged students to come to a gathering at Hendricks Chapel at 2:30 to discuss the ongoing events.
Chancellor Severud, DPS Chief Bobby Maldonado, and SA President James Franco, as well as Dean Conkle, all spoke at Hendricks. After they spoke, an open forum took place where all members of the campus community were able to express their feelings as well as ask questions about the incident. One student who spoke out at the event said that after the event, that we all need to feel uncomfortable to grow.
Because at the end of the day, you know, it is like we gotta overcome these challenges. You know, we have to do these conversations. If people feel uncomfortable, that's good, because if you don't feel uncomfortable, you're not gonna grow as an individual. You know, like you're not gonna grow. And the first step to changing is to admitting that you're in the wrong. And it really saddens me as a Greek that, you know, we have organizations that are promoting racism, promoting hatred within our community, you know, and I really feel uncomfortable by that, because that's not what my work stands for, and that's not what my council stands for, you know.
The event at Hendricks was followed by a university senate meeting at 4, where they changed their meeting's official topic to discuss the Theta Tau incident. The chancellor spoke here as well. And following that,
I guess I'd say that what has happened today should shake people up in this room, because if this is who you think we are as a community, we should be really troubled.
And following that, several students took to social media to voice their anger, leading to the trending hashtag, "Where's the video, SU?"
Many demanded that the university release the video and were unhappy with how the situation was being handled. At the time, rumors were spreading online regarding direct quotes from the video. However, nothing was confirmed.
Around 6 p.m. that night, protesters gathered outside the chancellor's house with signs demanding actions. Many held signs criticizing Theta Tau and asking for the release of the video. The protest was organized through social media, and the students marched from the chancellor's house to Hendricks Chapel.
Many students attended Hendricks at 7 p.m. as part of an open dialogue hosted by the Student Association. SA President and Vice President James Franco and Angie Patty sent out an email announcing an event earlier in the day after the initial gathering at Hendricks at 2 p.m.
At the gathering, many students spoke up and expressed their discontent with the lack of inclusiveness and acceptance at the university. Several students used various stories from their time at SU to share their sense of fear.
Now, various student leaders lead the discussion, including James Franco, Angie Patty, and SA Comptroller Sierra Batten. Dean Conkle was present for part of the event as well.
And finally, at 9 p.m., the student-run newspaper The Daily Orange released the video online, allowing students to firsthand view the misconduct that led to all of Wednesday's discussions throughout campus.
Although the release of the video was the conclusion of the events on Wednesday, it was by no means the conclusion of the outrage sparked across campus. On Thursday, the SU Facebook page for an organization called Recognize Us SU became active. On Facebook, the organization describes itself as the collegiate social movement started at Syracuse University to combat the systematic oppression of minority students.
And moving along the timeline, around 2 p.m. Onondaga County District Attorney William Fitzpatrick announced that no criminal charges will be filed regarding the incident, stating that stupidity is not a crime.
We now have CitrusTV reporter Greg Bradbury outside the Theta Tau house to talk more about what's been going on. Greg, how you doing out there?
Yeah, guys, so at 2:24, the national branch of Theta Tau released a Facebook statement about the events that took place right behind me at the Theta Tau chapter of Syracuse University. Now, the statement says that they have no tolerance for the actions that happened. However, they did make sure to say that it was not a hazing-related incident. Instead, they wanted to say that it was a parody skit intended to make fun of another brother in the class. Now, despite it being a skit, they said that it is no excuse for the events that took place, and you know, they were really sorry about it all, and they do not tolerate that type of behavior.
So, Greg, being that Theta Tau is an engineering fraternity, how has the engineering school been handling the situation?
Yeah, so at 4:30 on Thursday, the school announced that on Friday from 12 to 2, classes would be canceled in the College of Engineering and Computer Science. Now, that was so that students could attend a mandatory forum the following day in the dining hall. Now, at this forum, several things would be discussed, including the steps moving forward, and the dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Science actually committed to students six steps. Now, on your screen, you can probably see that, you know, many of these focused on promoting diversity training and trying to hire a more representative faculty. Now, on Wednesday at the 2:30 event at Hendricks Chapel, many students spoke about how they don't feel represented in the current faculty administration at Syracuse University. So that was something that the dean of the College of Engineering and Computer Science really focused on in her commitment to the students. Now, later at 5 o'clock, U100 held a meeting to discuss their plans for Admitted Students Day, which would happen on Friday, that being yesterday. Now, they gave tour guides a brief rundown of all the events that took place, as well as some questions that might come up, whether it be in information sessions or tours that took place throughout the day. Now, if something like that did come up, they would talk about it as a skit instead of you know, anything hazing related. And they also would talk about how the university handled the situation, whether it be the Greek life audit that James Franco mentioned on Wednesday, or, you know, Theta Tau already being suspended and whatnot. And then to round out Thursday's coverage, at 6:10, Chancellor Kent Severud sent out an email to the campus community, and he called the behavior, quote, a painful wake-up call. He also called for a top-to-bottom review of all Greek life that takes place here on campus, and also discussed that there will be mandatory training moving forward for faculty as well as students to promote diversity here on campus and make sure that everyone feels welcome in the Syracuse campus community. With that, I'm Greg Bradbury reporting live outside of Theta Tau chapter here at Syracuse University. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Greg. Now, as we mentioned earlier, hundreds of potential students were set to come on campus on Friday for Admitted Students Day, and at 8 a.m. Recognize Us SU hosted a sit-in at Shine so admitted students would see the protests.
The protesters chanted and held up signs as admitted students and their families entered Shine. Chancellor Severud also came to the event to address students in person, telling students he hears their concerns.
I see you, I hear you, and I am deeply concerned. That's not what you want to hear. I know you want concrete action. I am working on it. I can't say more than that right now.
Now, the Chancellor was not the only person to make a statement to the students. The Theta Tau chapter of Syracuse finally released an official statement apologizing for the language used in the video.
The fraternity stated that they cannot apologize enough for the pain, sadness, and fear that the incident has caused. They continued to say they are not a hate group and that Theta Tau is not a house full of bigots or those willing to tolerate it.
Now back to the timeline. At 10 a.m., the Office of Residence Life sent out an email to all students living on campus housing next year. And the email stated that all RAs and student leaders have to undergo training focused on diversity, inclusion, social justice, and creating a welcoming environment.
A few hours later, Chancellor Severud spoke at the One University Awards. This is the second year these awards have come to SU, and they are meant to celebrate members of the Syracuse community for making a difference in the world.
The Chancellor spoke to an audience at Hendricks Chapel, stating that no matter your background, you're all orange.
And the conclusion of Friday's event, Severud sent out an email to alumni acknowledging the current situation. In his email, he also included the list of actions the university is taking, in addition to Theta Tau suspension and the ongoing investigation.
One of these actions includes requiring all Greek and student members to participate in implicit bias training and inclusivity training as well.
And Morgan Trau is here in studio to discuss the video's impact on Greek life and how Theta Tau is only a pattern of fraternities being suspended this academic year. Morgan?
Thank you so much, guys. So how does the Greek community feel about the video, and what are their thoughts on the effect of it? I talked to students in the Greek life who say that this paints fraternities and sororities in a negative light. Junior Marcus Cook says when one Greek affiliate does something, it reflects on all of them.
We all kind of feel like we were let down by them because we know now that the public and the media is going to display it as Greek life did this, when really it was just one house that did this. But I think like me, as well as most Greek life, is going to be like very ashamed that they saw this video and won't stand by anything that they said.
Chelsea Siegel is a sophomore who says another problem is that people are just going to blame Greek life for this racist rhetoric.
They're not the only people in the world making these comments. That's just a small-minded way to think.
The societal issue is addressed by Alyssa Schwarzbart, who says the chancellor should use this as a teaching point.
I think that he needs to expel everyone who was involved. I know that it might be harsh, but if he doesn't, then it's just going to keep happening.
But senior Michael Lerner thinks there's another way to deal with those involved.
I think that ignorance can be cured like a disease by education and diversity. I mean, whatever they did, I think that they deserve what's going to come to them, but I think they can learn.
There's a general consensus within the Greek community that education and awareness need to be raised in order to combat prejudice. Michael adds that being silent is the worst thing someone can do in this situation, and the chancellor making an initiative to have all people on campus, faculty included, take implicit bias training is a good start of trying to mend the feelings in the community. Greek life has been in the spotlight even before the Theta Tau incident. 3 other fraternities were removed during the 2017-2018 school year. The most recent was Sigma Alpha Mu, referred to as SAMI, suspended just 3 days before the video came out. According to the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Affairs, SAMI violated the Code of Student Conduct after they had an investigation on hazing. Alpha Epsilon Pi, known as AE Pi, was also suspended this year under unclear circumstances, but officials say it does not revolve around hazing. They plan to appeal the decision. Delta Tau Delta, known as DELT, was suspended earlier this year for multiple violations, and hazing was stated as one of them. Theta Tau suspension has been the most public, as being the only one the chancellor made statements about, but community members are wondering when their official suspension details will be released. Until then, they're going through a comprehensive investigation. Back to you.
Great Gabrielle Caracciolo is live from London to talk to us about the upcoming royal wedding.
You don't want to miss it. Keep it here.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Welcome back to Juice and Java. In exactly 4 weeks, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are getting married.
That's right. The royal wedding is on May 19th, and London correspondent Gabrielle Caracciolo is live with us from London, where the event is set to take place. So, Gabrielle, what exactly do we need to know about the wedding?
Thanks, guys. Yes, I'm here in London and I'm outside Kensington Palace, where back in November, Prince Harry actually proposed to Meghan Markle inside his residence on these grounds. And now in 1 month from today, on May 19th, they are going to get married inside St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle, which is about an hour away from here. Now, I went to the castle, and while I wasn't allowed to film inside St. George's Chapel, I spoke to one of the workers, and he was telling me that because of the layout of the chapel, there's a choir screen and the organs, so only close friends and family members are really going to have a good view of the wedding, and some viewers at home may be able to see better than people sitting at the back of the chapel.
And Prince Harry is known as the more rebellious prince. Are he and Meghan doing anything unconventional for their wedding?
Yeah, they are doing a couple of things differently than Will and Kate. The first thing is that they're getting married on a Saturday. Typically, royal weddings happen during the middle of the week. The next is because Prince Harry isn't directly in line for the throne, he doesn't have to invite political officials. They're opting out of that. So some political leaders may be there, but only as friends of the couple, not in any official capacity. Additionally, since they're not inviting the political diplomats, what they will be doing is inviting some people from around the UK that they have inspiring stories, and they've been sharing those stories on Twitter.
Oh, that's awesome. But sticking with the attendance theme, how many people are expected to go to Windsor and London for the wedding, and what security measures are being put in place?
Yes, thousands of people are expected to head to Windsor in hopes of seeing the couple on their wedding day. Hotels have been booked since December, when they announced the date and location of their wedding. So of course security is going to be increased. Police are saying that anybody traveling by train, car, or bus can expect to be stopped and searched. Additionally, in London and throughout the UK, they are extending licensing hours for pubs so people can go out and celebrate until 1 a.m. instead of the typical 11 p.m.
And lastly, Gabrielle, Will and Kate are expecting their third child any day now. Do you have any updates on the royal baby watch, and will she be able to make it to the wedding?
Any day now. The rumor is her due date might be around April 23rd. With her past 2 pregnancies, she did give birth a little bit past her due date, so that's any time in the next week or 2. And it is believed that they set the date of the royal wedding with her due date in mind, so she should be okay to make it to the wedding. But of course, that decision is going to come down to how she's feeling on that day, how the baby is doing, and of course what her doctors have to say.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle.
When we come back, Lilia Wood is in studio to pay a tribute to former First Lady Barbara Bush.
Stay with us.
Taking care of a family member can lead to plenty of questions. Fortunately, there's a place to get the answers, for them and for you. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
The world lost a very important person this past Tuesday with the death of Barbara Bush.
Bush, who died at the age of 92, was the wife of the 41st president and the mother of the 43rd. Her contribution to society, however, was much more than her relationship to both former presidents.
That's right, and Lilia Wood is here to pay tribute to Barbara Bush and highlight some of her achievements. Lilia?
Thanks, guys. The country is mourning over the loss of Barbara Bush, who passed away earlier this week. She struggled with congestive heart failure and pulmonary disease. Barbara Bush, often referred to as America's grandmother, was passionate, modest, funny, and down to earth. She always put her family first. Take a listen.
That I'm the world's luckiest woman. I think if I sort of put it in a nutshell, these are the things that are important to me. Faith, family, and friends.
She was devoted dearly to her husband, George H.W. Bush, for over 70 years. They met at a school dance and got engaged a year and a half later. George and Barbara are famous for their love letters sent to one another, for there were hundreds. Here's what one of the letters said.
I love you, precious, with all my heart, and to know that you love me means my life. How often I have thought about the immeasurable joy that will be ours someday. How lucky our children will be to have a mother like you.
The Lovebirds raised their 6 children in Texas, and their lives were changed forever when they lost their oldest daughter at 3 years old to leukemia. During George's pregnancy, Barbara focused on family literacy for preschoolers and their parents. She also fought the stigma that HIV-infected babies could harm the public by holding an infant affected by AIDS. She always kept her family humble when they were in the country spotlight, no matter what their title was. Take a look.
And he was reading his paper, and Barbara looked over at him. George, take your feet off my table. I said, the guy is President of the United States of America. Give him a break. No, he knows better than that.
Members of the public were invited yesterday to pay their respects at St. Martin's Church in Houston. Today, the funeral service is by invite only. If nothing else, Barbara will be remembered as America's grandmother with her big white hair and iconic pearls. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Lilia. Barbara Bush, truly one of a kind. But switching gears a little bit, coming up, Rebekah and I write some late night jokes. Keep it here.
In Java. Now I'm really excited for this. This is going to be a lot of fun, right, Rebekah?
I'm a little bit nervous, but I usually am nervous for anything that we do on Juice and Java.
Fair enough. Well, Josh Feinblatt is here with us. He's been on before. We all know Josh very well, our colleague, but he's also one of the executive producers of Live from Studio B, which is a late-night television show here at Syracuse University. You're going to teach us how to write some jokes, right?
I am. I'm not just the executive producer. I helped create the show a year and a half ago.
Humble brag.
And a little bit, and I'm also the head writer. So I'm going to teach you what we do in our writers' meetings, because although the show is live, we try and write as much of it as possible, because, you know, it's hard to be funny for half an hour on the spot, but you guys do it every single week.
Well, I'm nervous about being funny on the spot right here, so.
Okay, well, there's no need to be nervous. Everyone can write. So what we'll do is, if you take a look behind us, we'll just put in a bunch of headlines from the news. So let me read you this next one. A nudist community in Florida is upset that a postal carrier won't deliver their mail. So usually we'll take sort of the two components of the joke. So here we have a nudist community, and maybe some Florida, and then...
That wasn't the joke?
It's
And then...
just already funny.
A nudist community in Florida. Is this where you live, Rebekah? I know you're from Florida.
No, it's not where I live.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So not Rebekah's community, but a nudist community. So we're going to take that, put that on one side, right?
Okay.
And so you're just going to write down a lot of things that you can think about a nudist community. So think about a nudist community for a little bit, Rebekah. I know this is...
I think she's enjoying thinking about the nudist community.
So I'll give you guys a couple seconds on that.
I don't know. I feel like I'm cheating on the test.
Just imagine. You're okay.
My parents always told me to keep my eyes on paper.
But here's the thing, you know, you guys can work together. So we have a writers meeting.
No, we can't. This is not how it works. Have you ever seen one of these pre-tapes?
No, that's fair. That's fair. You know, sometimes during our writers meetings, a lot of them will come with jokes, but a lot of times they'll come with something. They're like, I don't know if I can get this. Let's all work together, and we figure it out as a group of anywhere from. Usually we have 10 to 15 writers, so it's a lot to put on a show. So how would a nudist community sign for a package? Do you think they'd use like a regular pen or something like that?
I don't know. Do they even have? I mean, I would think they'd have regular items. Or?
Well, yeah, but maybe let's.
Maybe they don't have it. Okay.
So
it's as if they're not people. Like I don't have.
So how about
they're people too?
So how about this, right? Let's just say they tried to sign for the package with something else. So do you think you guys could write a joke together?
Okay, with what they signed it with?
Yeah, what did they end up signing with? So a nudist community in Florida is upset that a postal carrier won't deliver their mail. And it usually will start off
last time they tried to sign with
their own package.
There we go. All right, and so then we'll write it in. But last time they tried to sign with their own package. There you go. That's a funny joke. I think that would make it in the show. All right, guys. So good work on the first one. I know it's a little risque. Let's move on to maybe another body part, an internal body part on this one. So here's our next headline. A study reports that an electric shock to the brain may boost memory as much as 15%.
Study reports that an electric shock to the brain may boost memory as much as 15%. That study was completed by Geico.
Oh, there you go, 15%. I like it. Good.
A study reports that an electric shock to the brain may boost memory as much as 15%, just enough to remember how much money you just saved on car insurance.
I think you guys did a really good job today. You got a couple funny jokes, and you just got to keep working at it.
All right, yes. Thank you so much, Josh.
Of course.
We hope you guys have a great last show. Catch live from Studio B's last show, which will be on April 29th. So we saw a lot of pretty good jokes there, not so much from my part.
Well, I was about to say, they just cut out your jokes.
I know, but they also cut out one of Noah's best jokes, but I think that we still have it, so let's hear what that was.
There you go.
I have a fourth one as well.
Oh, what is the fourth? Let's just hear it.
Yeah, a study reports that electric shock to the brain may boost memory as much as 15%. Just as much as you need to be the 8th president of the United States, Martin Van Buren.
All right. Well, I don't know if
Martin Van Buren, near and dear to my heart, from Kinderhook, New York, a true legend.
Just a weird obsession that we got going on there. He always feels like he has to pop it into any joke that he makes.
I feel like Martin Van Buren
never hits the mark.
He is a very underrated. He goes under the radar as a president. No one appreciates him, and I'm just trying to give him his due diligence. He was a president of the United States, and no one remembers Martin Van Buren.
Well, you know, I hope that Martin Van Buren is looking down on you and is like, you know what, Eagle, I can't wait to meet you one day.
He will. I can guarantee that.
And that's all we have for Juice and Java this morning. Unfortunately, this is our last episode of Juice and Java for this semester, and so we just want to say thank you to our EPs and especially Taylor Vale, one of our senior producers who is graduating.
We'll see you next semester.